Hey everyone. All right, so where we got to get started is the introduction to project management. This particular lecture is going to cover the basics. We're going to go over what is a project, what is project management, the project manager versus the business analyst. We'll do a little role comparison, and so you can really understand what does success look like for the project manager versus what does success look like for the business analyst. It'll just help frame out those two positions. As well as we'll talk about different project management approaches, and I'll discuss a little bit more about the approach that we'll take for this particular course. So starting it off, what is a project? Well, here is the definition out of the project management body of knowledge. And so this is from the PMI Institute, the Project Management Institute. We don't need to get into that, but it's an organization that puts together standards for project management. And the body of knowledge is basically their Bible that they create, utilize, and update to set the standards for project management. So their definition for a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So the first thing that I want to talk about is I want to break this definition down a little bit and really give it to you in some bite sizes. So the first thing, temporary. A project is something that is temporary. It has a start and it has an end. That does not mean it's quick. Mount Rushmore, that is something that took 14 plus years to create, but I guarantee they had a project plan. They had to plan out how the schedule, the budget, the workers, how that was going to work through. And then we'll call it a business analyst had to go through and dive into, okay, what is the structure? Where is the different destinations need to go to be able to create the structure. So a project is temporary. It has a set start and a set end. The next thing we're going to talk about is unique. So unique is it's not the same steps over and over and over and over. You're not just working through a support process, but this is unique. You may be following some type of standard project process, but you're coming up with some type of unique result each time, whatever that end deliverable or deliverables would be for that project. The third thing that I like to point out here is product, service, or result. So the project is temporary, it creates something unique, and either creates a product, a service, or result. So a product is a whole new product or a whole new feature, enhancement to an old product, stuff like that. That's all considered product. So that could be something like, hey, we need to put a new system in place that certain users are going to utilize to perform a task. That would be a product. Second thing is a service. So this is something where you're reducing defects or you're improving efficiency. So this could be something where, hey, we need to tweak this certain process so then we can understand how our reps are utilizing that on phone calls and be able to make that better. So that could be a project. Or it could be a result, an outcome, or a document. A project could simply be research. It could be researching into a certain technology to find out if that technology would be great to be utilized. That would be a project. It does have a start, it has an end, and you're creating a unique result, which in this case would be some type of research document. So that's the definition of a project, a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Next, we're going to dive into what is project management then. So again, from the project management body of knowledge, project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques in order to meet the project requirements. So project management is being able to utilize your knowledge, your skills, tools, and techniques to be able to make that end result successful. That's really it. Project management is the act of managing a project. So what does project management include? So project management, you're understanding and addressing expectations and concerns of stakeholders. So that's pretty obvious. You have stakeholders, you have people that are helping to guide the project forward, and you need to be able to understand what their vision is, what they're trying to do, and help them get there. You're guiding the overall project. Project management also includes planning and carrying out that communication to the stakeholders. One huge part of project management is being able to communicate the status of the project and have everyone understand where is the project at and how is it towards the project schedule, which is the next thing. So you're going to create a project schedule. That is a schedule that you're creating at the start of the project. You're going to create and set milestones, work all the way through that project, and have an end result in the end when you close out the project. And we're going to teach you everything you need to know here from project management as to how you can do that and different techniques you can utilize. Project management also includes meeting certain project requirements and creating deliverables. You're in charge of making sure as a project manager that that project is a success. That in the end, the outcomes, the objectives, the deliverables that were expected up front, understanding that expectations of the stakeholders are understood and that you're meeting them at the end with that deliverable. And then the last thing is keeping the project constraints balanced. So we'll talk about that a little bit more with this next slide. So the first thing we're going to focus on is the red triangle. This has a schedule, budget, and scope as part of it. And if any of these factors would change, at least one other factor needs to be adjusted. So if the schedule is shortened, the budget needs to be increased. And that's because there's likely more resources that need to be put onto the project to get it done in a shorter amount of time. If that's not possible, then the scope may have to change, may have to shrink up a little bit or remove some items in order to meet that decreased schedule at the same budget that the project was expected. So that red triangle just depicts those three factors and understanding that one thing will affect one or more of the other ones. So next, let's look at the blue triangle. We got risk, resources, and quality. Again, if one of these factors gets adjusted, at least one of the other factors in the blue triangle would also have to be adjusted. If you reduce resources, your quality may suffer or your risk is going to go up. So that's the way that everything works, and that's why you kind of have these triangles to help depict it. The one thing, the graph or the depiction I like a little bit better than that is actually this one. So this is kind of a makeshift Venn diagram, if you will. You have overlapping sections. So your three pieces are you have fast, good, and cheap. And this is really the easiest and most simple way for me to break it down. You can only have two of these. You can either have it fast and good, which would mean it's going to be expensive. You can have it good and cheap, which means it's not going to be fast. It's going to be very slow. Or you can have it fast and cheap, but then it's not going to be good. The quality is going to suffer, or it may not meet expectations. So this is actually what I like to utilize when I'm training new business analysts in project management. I like to use this depiction rather than the triangles. I think this sets out a little bit better and helps explain it a little bit better. You can only choose two of the factors. The other one's going to be left aside when you do this. So most of it makes sense. It's common sense that, well, yeah, if we try to do it, really fast and cheaply, that we're probably not going to get a good product or a good end result. It's exactly what this is showing. So let's compare a little bit. A project manager versus a business analyst. And I'm going to do some very simple comparisons for you at a high level so you can kind of understand the differences in roles if you don't already. The project manager their success is that the project meets the outcomes that were detailed and described at the beginning of the project. So that could be that they have a system in place that customer service reps can utilize to meet certain pieces, certain requirements, certain efficiencies. And so that is what the project manager is driving towards, that final outcome of a project success. They're controlling all the pieces at a higher level, and they're kind of the boss of the project, if you will, and understanding what everybody is doing and making sure that all risks and constraints are identified, roadblocks are removed, and that everybody can continue moving forward on the project plan that they put together and that they're driving towards. The business analyst is one step down from the project manager. What they're in charge of is making sure that they understand the business needs and that they can identify, document, and meet the business requirements that they elicit. They're driving in and understanding a lower level of detail than what the project manager. The project manager knows they want to build a system, and they may know some of the high level details about that system, the components of that system, because they have to know that to know what groups to engage and how to move forward and what that timeline will look like. The business analyst is actually diving in and saying, okay, you want a system. Now let's drive in and understand what those business needs are. Basically, why do you need a system? Who's going to be utilizing it? How are they going to be utilizing it? What are you going to be gaining from utilizing that system? So again, the project manager is in charge of the overall project success. The business analyst is in charge of making sure that that deliverable, that end result, meets the business needs. So let's look at some different approaches. The two main approaches that are utilized, there's probably about 4 or 5 different approaches for project management, but the big two are the PMI, which is they have a project management professional certification called a PMP, or you have projects in controlled environments, better known as PRINCE, and it's the version 2, so it's PRINCE 2. Those are the two biggest approaches that are utilized for project management. So what's the difference, really? Well, the PRINCE 2 is bigger in the UK. United Kingdom is bigger with PRINCE 2. That's kind of the format and the approach that's utilized there more often, where the PMP is more utilized in the USA. And it's actually starting to spread a little bit more. You see it a little bit more in some of the European countries. Australia is starting to use the PMP as a standard and approach. But for sure, the US is pretty much all PMP. It's pretty much all of the Project Management Institute's approach on project management. What we're going to be working through is the PMI approach, and that is the Project Management Institute's approach. So the Project Management Professional. You don't need to know any more than that, but that is how we're going to be driving through this project. That's the approach that I'm going to be teaching you today. But again, don't fret. If you're in the UK and you're utilizing PRINCE 2, almost all of these techniques and principles will also apply. They may just be utilized slightly different into kind of a different approach. So the knowledge that I'll give you will still be very beneficial and helpful to you.